Welcome back to the Deep Dive. If you're here, you're looking for that shortcut to being well-informed, and today we are diving into something that honestly sounds like science fiction,
It really does.
but it's documented reality.
Yeah.
We're talking about these incredibly loud, mysterious sounds that seem to come from the sky itself.
Yeah, they've been nicknamed sky trumpets, which sounds, almost biblical.
It does, and our source material for this is a fantastic exploration of this whole global mystery. So our mission today is to, well, try to pull apart the facts from the speculation.
Right.
We want to understand the scientific theories, which are still incomplete, and figure out why this bizarre noise might just be the most important warning system that we don't yet understand.
It's genuinely unsettling stuff. The descriptions from witnesses,
Yeah.
they're far beyond a simple strange noise. This isn't, an owl in the distance.
Right.
It's consistently described as something mechanical, immense, like a gigantic metallic trumpet, or sometimes even like the sound of huge metal plates grinding together.
Explosively. And this is the crucial part for me. This isn't some isolated thing.
Mhm.
If it was a one-off event somewhere in rural Siberia, you could just say, oh, military exercise.
Sure, or a localized earthquake.
Exactly. But the scale here,
Mm.
that's what turns this from a curiosity into a genuine global puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So let's unpack that scale for everyone listening. When we say this is reported globally, what are we really talking about? What's the footprint?
We're looking at a phenomenon that spans, well, every single habitable continent. The research confirms these sounds, these sky trumpets, have been recorded in over 40 countries.
40. Wow.
So this is a shared acoustic mystery. Scientists have even given it a more formal name, the hum of the earth.
The hum of the earth.
And if the number of locations isn't enough, the physics of the sound itself, that should get you. We are not talking about a distant murmur.
Right.
The sources say these noises can be heard from up to 20 kilometers away. And here's the kicker. It often causes physical vibrations on the ground. People report that the sound is literally shaking the spot where they're standing.
Okay, that right there, that just throws down the gauntlet to common sense, doesn't it?
It does.
Because if you have an event powerful enough to shake the ground over a 20-kilometer radius, you should see something. You should see a collapsing glacier, a meteor, something.
A massive explosion.
Yeah. But the core puzzle, and this is where it gets really interesting, is that there is no visible source at all. No planes, no storms, nothing. Just this huge, terrifying trumpeting sound.
And it makes you wonder, has this been happening forever? Is this the kind of sound that gave rise to all those ancient prophecies?
The apocalyptic stories, yeah. It sounds less like science and more like something out of Revelation.
No, that cultural link is important because it shows our instinct to assign a powerful, maybe even divine source to something we just can't explain.
So the scientific question then becomes, if the source isn't a single visible thing, what huge natural process is acting like the planet's loudspeaker?
Exactly. And since we don't know the origin, scientists have had to focus on these really large-scale mechanics, atmospheric or geological processes that could create such a colossal sound.
Okay.
And our sources point to 3 leading explanations, though, and this is crucial, they are all incomplete.
All right, let's dive into them. We need to see how they stack up against the evidence. What's the first theory for this planetary trumpet?
So theory number 1 takes us way up to the top of our atmosphere. It focuses on the ionosphere.
Okay.
The hypothesis is that the sounds are caused by immense vibrations of the ionosphere layer itself.
And just to remind everyone, the ionosphere is that super electrically charged layer hundreds of kilometers up, right? The one that interacts with solar radiation.
That's the one. It's this massive electrically reactive shell around the Earth. The theory goes that sudden bursts of energy, like a solar flare or a geomagnetic storm, can literally cause that huge layer of particles to vibrate.
So like a giant invisible drumskin being hit by energy from space.
That's a great way to put it.
I can grasp that. The sky ringing like a bell. But here's where I hit a wall. If that's happening 500 kilometers up, how does that sound wave have enough power to be heard, let alone shakes the ground? Doesn't the atmosphere just dampen it out?
That is the main challenge for this theory. And it's why researchers focus on the type of sound. We're talking about extremely low frequency waves. Sometimes they're even in the infrasound range.
So below what we can actually hear.
Exactly, below human hearing. And while high-frequency sound fades quickly, low-frequency sound can travel for vast distances with very little energy loss, especially if it gets caught in what's called an atmospheric waveguide.
An atmospheric waveguide.
Yeah, so the atmosphere isn't acting as a barrier, it's more like a lens. It could be focusing that huge, deep pulse from the ionosphere down onto a specific point on the surface.
Okay, that could explain the distance.
Mhm.
But a focused low-frequency rumble,
Right.
that doesn't quite sound like a trumpet or exploding metal.
It doesn't, which leads us straight to theory number 2, a bit lower in the sky this time.
Let's hear it.
This one is about atmospheric mechanics, specifically movement and friction. The idea is that the noise is caused by the friction of really high winds interacting with charged particles.
It's like the static electricity analogy,
Right.
right? But on a catastrophic scale.
Precisely the parallel. You rub a balloon on your hair, you get a little crackle, but here you have the Earth's jet streams, these incredibly powerful winds colliding with zones full of charged particles. That massive friction generates low-frequency sonic waves.
So the air itself is roaring with electricity.
In a way, yes, it's the air acting as a giant resistive element.
I find this one more compelling for the sheer volume, but again, the sound itself. If it's constant wind friction, why do we hear these sudden dramatic trumpets and not just a continuous, overwhelming roar?
Well, that might have to do with the release of the energy, not just the buildup.
Aye.
When that friction hits a critical point, the charge could be releasing in these huge, focused pulses, almost like lightning strikes, but acoustic instead of visual. And those sudden, powerful pulses are what we hear as the distinct trumpet motes.
So we have a space-based theory and an atmospheric one. Both are trying to explain a sound from up high, but they both kind of struggle to explain the ground shaking.
They do, and that inevitably brings us to the third and final ground-based explanation.
Right. Maybe we've been looking hundreds of miles too high up this whole time.
Exactly. Theory 3 just removes the atmosphere from the equation and points back down, deep inside the Earth itself.
Okay.
This theory suggests the sounds are the result of deep plate shifts or tremors.
Okay, so how do deep Earth shifts make a sound that travels 20 kilometers but still sounds like a trumpet in the sky?
It's all about how sound moves through solids. When you have massive geological activity happening way down below, slipping, magma moving, it generates these immense low-frequency sound waves.
Mm-hmm.
And these waves travel through the Earth's crust way, way more efficiently than through the air. The idea is that these deep rumbles get channeled up through fault lines or specific rock layers until they hit the surface and are, well, they're acoustically amplified.
And that would perfectly explain the ground shaking.
It explains it perfectly because the source is literally vibrating the ground beneath your feet.
But if that's the case, we have to ask the obvious question. Why hasn't seismology solved this? We have incredibly sensitive seismographs everywhere. Do these trumpets show up as earthquakes?
And that's the gap in the data. The suggestion is that these sounds might occupy a weird frequency band, low enough to be lost in background seismic noise, but just high enough for our ears to perceive it as sound, not just vibration.
So they could be precursor events.
They could be, like stress releasing in the crust that's powerful enough to be heard, but not yet big enough to be a measurable tremor. It keeps the puzzle wide open.
So 3 plausible theories. A vibrating ionosphere, high wind friction, or deep Earth movements. None of them are conclusive.
Not at all. Each has a major flaw when you look at all the evidence together.
But there's another piece of information from the sources that takes this from a simple scientific puzzle to something, well, something much more important.
The timeline correlation.
This is the spooky connection,
Yeah.
linking these sounds to major destructive events.
This is where it moves beyond just physics and into something like planetary forecasting. The sources show compelling data that these mysterious sound recordings have been captured before major earthquakes and massive storms. Before. And the implication is, well, it's profound. This phenomenon could be a natural warning system that we haven't learned how to read yet.
And the theories suddenly make more sense in that context.
Exactly. If the sound is from deep plate shifts, theory 3, well, that stress often comes right before a major quake. If it's from charged particles and high winds, theory 2, those are the exact conditions that precede massive hurricanes and cyclones.
So the source material uses this powerful analogy. It says the Earth has its own frequencies and echoes. And when the planet is under massive stress, either from inside or from the atmosphere, the sky itself can transform into a giant loudspeaker.
It's broadcasting the stress that the planet is under.
It just changes everything. We're so used to looking for visual warnings, you know. Weird cloud, the ocean receding. But maybe the most powerful warning is one we're supposed to hear.
Could the sky literally be warning us? It suggests we need to stop treating these sounds as just an oddity and start seeing them as a vital data point.
It really makes you wonder how much data we've just missed over the centuries, because we didn't have the tech to record and analyze these things globally.
They were just written off as noise or superstition.
Okay, so to bring this all together for you, we've got the sky trumpets, documented in over 40 countries, powerful enough to shake the ground 20 kilometers away.
And we have three potential natural sources for them: a vibrating ionosphere, friction in the high-altitude winds, or deep Earth shifts rumbling up through the crust.
But it's that compelling link to major earthquakes and storms that really makes this essential. It turns this whole thing from an anomaly into maybe a global alarm bell that we've been ignoring.
We have to end, though, with the source's ultimate conclusion. As of now, these mysterious sounds remain a complete puzzle.
Still puzzle.
The theories are solid, the correlations are compelling, but the ultimate, verifiable source of the sky trumpets and the hum of the earth is entirely unknown. The recordings are real, the sound is immense, and the search goes on.
Fascinating stuff. So let's leave you with a final thought, building on what we've just explored. If the sky really is a loudspeaker transmitting the deep tremors of our planet, what other warnings might the natural world be sending? Other inaudible waves, magnetic pulses, subsonic vibrations, things that we just aren't equipped to hear yet, let alone understand. Maybe the first step to unlocking the Earth's alarm system is just to be more aware of the background hum of the planet.